That is the cheesiest music I've ever heard.
Well, you're the one that chose it, so you got your claim.
Still's back. Look at his took
I don't
his
understand.
Towie tan. He's beating the Marbs. No
nice,
carbs before Marbs. Unfortunately, Still didn't listen to that and kept eating all those carbs.
It'll keep me going until my holiday next month. I'll be in desperate need of a holiday next month. Did I tell you I'm going away again?
Yeah,
we're going to Cyprus, probably for 3 weeks.
You're for how long?
Maybe 3 weeks.
Well, maybe the internet will be the same standard as what you've got currently where you live. So
not as good as Matt. Not as good as Matt's though.
I don't know. I don't actually think that's his internet. I think that's his phone.
Yeah, we need to invest in some equipment for him, I think.
Yeah, we do. With all the money you make, Still. With all the money you make.
Yeah, mate. Fucking loads of it. I'm fucking so loaded. It's untrue.
You actually look like the Tango Man. That's exactly who you look like.
I am. Yeah, I'm pretty.
And you slag off Luke.
Yeah, but Luke's one comes out of the bottle. This is real.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
anyway, welcome back to the late, as Still says. The late show.
Welcome back. Just thought we'd do a bit of I mean, it's been we've had transfer windows and international friendly internationals and all that sort of stuff, and might be a good time to sort of look forward as to what we think the season's going to be like, and we're going to have a couple of interesting young men coming on to help us chew the fat. Because
you can see interesting again.
They're both interesting in their own ways. Yeah. And the good thing is, at this time of night, you can F and blind. But I got a feeling Tommy's probably got his partner sitting next to him, and I'm a bit worried when we start effing and blinding. She might.
I don't F and blind. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you're a good boy, aren't you, mate? You're a good lad.
You just got to remember. Oh, did you just say I'm a good lad? That's weird. That's weird. You paid me a compliment. It's really odd. I'll take it. And I'll tell you what. I'll take it off, and I'll take that compliment. That was really nice. I like that.
I meant it facetiously. But shall we bring them on and?
Do me a favor though, before you do it though, Steve, please don't feed his ego, mate. Please. My back is fucking terrible because I've been carrying him for the last 5 years. Honestly, don't. He's small, mate. He's tiny. I put him in my backpack, but it's fucking head.
How many shows are you going to put the same joke on? I mean, I've heard it 3 times today.
Good.
And it is fucking boring, mate.
You should. Right, come on, introduce the guests. Do as I say. Come on. Chop, chop.
Do as I say. Let me bring 2 interesting people on because Anton's a fucking boring git. Good evening, Nigel. Good evening, Tommy. How are you, chaps?
Very well, Still. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I think Steve there missed off the word key somewhere. I'll leave people to work out where the key should have gone.
Can I tell you? Can I be honest with you? I actually went keyed on. What does that mean?
Oh, fuck you!
No, I fucking didn't. You don't know.
Okay, you did. No, though. That's the thing. That's the problem. You did.
Right,
Nigel.
Money in the fucking electric meter, will you?
Is this not the lighting we need? Is this not what we do? No, I don't. Give me a minute.
Oh dear. Tommy, I don't know if you've watched any of the late lates, but Nigel's been on one of them already. This is a no format. This is just chat, and we can F and blind as much as we want because it's late. I've got a feeling your better half is sitting next to you, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Behavior.
This is going to be a Tommy that we've never seen before.
Yeah, this is going to be quite interesting.
Actually, I'm looking forward to seeing this.
I'll be getting DMs on Twitter like, "You okay, mate?"
No, I don't know, Tommy. I'm sure you know Nigel, and Nigel, you know Tommy. I don't know if you've met before or
we've been on the show before together. Yeah,
at the same. Oh, great.
Not personally, obviously.
Well, no, not all right. Well, we got that. We got that.
I think was it Forged from Iron Night we were on or something.
Oh,
mate, so many.
Oh, so many.
He wants to say so much stuff. I know him. He's sitting there. Things are racking through his brain. He's like, oh.
I'm just surprised that this was like the only format-free show on Irons United.
We're not Irons United anymore.
I don't know what
It's
channel. What channel was
fucking-
that? What channel was that? Never heard of that.
the West Ham Network. Fucking. Do you know?
What do you mean?
'Cause I've never seen a show have a format. To be honest, they start the ones when Stell's running. They start when he wants. They consist of items that he wants, and they finish when the cats want feeding.
Well,
I love it.
well,
It's
that's
so
a
true.
format. Well, in comparison to our other show, we do, believe it or not, Nigel, we do actually try and put a format behind them.
All right.
Whereas this one, it's a bit of an anything goes. I mean, I've titled it, season expectations, but we can wrap it on about anything. We can start with that and see where it goes.
Can we start with who chose the soft porn music at the start?
Definitely still. Definitely still. No, I'll be honest with you. Still found the music, and I had to use what was given to me. So
no, Still's music is usually pretty groovy, but
but that was free.
Tommy.
Tommy, see that?
For that
Tommy, see that music? See that music that you like is quite funky. I found that music for a show, and he admits it. Just fucking admits it.
Admit what, mate?
The one that Gary was asking you for years. Give me
my
the music,
theme tune that I got my mates to do.
Saying, you're going to get a copyright strike from Pornhub.
We get copyright strikes. We get copyright strikes all the time.
We got a copyright strike the other day from a show from 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Fucking
Seriously.
Where did that come from? It was
Yeah.
I was looking at it, and in the title it had Adrian, and I'm like, fucking Adrian. How long ago did he fucking play for us? That's over 4 years ago. Yeah, weird one.
So
there you go.
What's been happening?
Well, should we talk about what our expectations are now that we know what our squad is? I think a lot of people are kind of saying that the purchases have been pretty decent. Still getting people out there saying, no striker. As soon as Antonio does his hammies, we're going to be doomed. Well, I mean, Nigel, I know you and we've spoken already about the transfers, and I think on the whole, we thought they were pretty good.
What's up?
What about you, Tommy? What do you think? Shut up, arsehole. What do you think, Tommy, of the transfers? Are we in trouble if Antonio gets an injury, or do you think we'll be okay?
No, I think it's going to be a problem. I think David Moyes kind of alluded to that even in the press conference. He seems even concerned that he clearly wanted to get somebody in, almost a prototype, if you like, so that if Antonio went down, he had someone on the bench who was basically plug and play. You can put him right in there to do the job Antonio was doing. He wasn't able to find someone like that. I don't suspect that's entirely true. I'm sure he would have had some players in mind. I think just the money wasn't there to go get them, and he had to cut his cloth and decided to sacrifice on signing a striker. He's just going to make do, basically. Most likely do what he did last time, chuck Bowen up there, and hope he can bag some goals. So that is a worry, and I do think Moyes wanted to get a striker in. So it's not ideal for me. I really, really would have loved to have seen a striker come in. I think we needed one. He tried to get one in January. He didn't find one then. He wasn't able to find one this summer. We really ought to have one in by now. So it is going to be a worry because, Antonio does such an unbelievable job up top. I mean, it's going to be difficult, I think, even for a sub backup striker to replicate what Antonio does and to be as effective as Antonio. He really is the linchpin of that attack. He's the tip of the spear, and he's started the season in unbelievable form. So it is a worry, and it's going to happen. We all know it. He's going to go down with an injury, particularly now it seems he's going to have quite a few international games over these next 6 months. And not local either, are they? I mean, he's going to be over on the other side of the pond, essentially. So Yeah, it's still a worry. I really hope in January that we can do something, get somebody in.
Tommy,
Bowen
can I
isn't
just
ideal.
can I just interject there? See how you're saying, and I kind of get a lot of fans are feeling the same. And you say the word somebody, and I'm being just picking up on particular words. Would you have been happier if it was somebody, so therefore a body just coming in to give us the backup there? And the reason why I'm bringing this into the equation was I was talking on the preview earlier on about, I don't know what it was, I'd listened to a podcast or whatever, and they were talking about a manager and a director of football working together. And I think they used the analogy at Tottenham, for example, if Harry Kane, your world-class only striker, gets injured, what are you going to do to replace him? So you go into the transfer market and you work on a pyramid system. And if Harry Kane sits right near the top of that pyramid system and you're going to try and replace him, then you're literally talking about the players at the top being valued higher than what Harry Kane is, but there's not many of them kicking about, so it's going to be tougher to get. So managers at those clubs are going to struggle to find like for like or better, and would have to settle for below what they currently have. And that kind of plays into the mindset of what Moyes is saying, quality over quantity, which would, I don't know if I'm trying to justify the reason why he didn't sign a striker, but I'm putting that one to you. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, look, of course, I don't think any of us want us to just sign anyone just for the sake of having a number 9 on the bench. But I think you can get someone in who's going to have enough quality to cover. Now, I understand, look, we're West Ham, and okay, we finished 6th last season, we're in Europa League, but I understand we're not going to be able to keep kind of top quality players happy on the bench for very long. You know, the big clubs can maybe have really top quality players on their bench. So, look, our backup is never going to be as good or as effective as Mikel Antonio. And to be honest, I don't actually buy into Moyes' thinking that we need some kind of Antonio clone on the bench. You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I think we could have gotten in a kind of really decent number 9 from. So, what if we brought in Adam Hlozek, for example? I think he's a really good quality young striker with a big future ahead of him, highly rated, and number of very good clubs around Europe are looking at him. And I think he is young enough that is coming from a league where he would have been happy to develop at West Ham a bit. He wouldn't have been demanding to play. He wouldn't have been unhappy spending most of his time on the bench. He would have been improving in training with the players around him, would have been getting some experience perhaps in Europa League and the domestic cups here, would have been playing in the Premier League, which is the best league in the world and where players like Hlozek would love to come play. He'd obviously have Czech Republic teammates there that would help him bed in. So someone like Hlozek, who's young, hungry, talented, would have been a great shout for someone to have on the bench. I don't think we have to have a clone of Antonio. I disagree with Moyes on that one. I think that's what Moyes is trying to find.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with you there, Tommy. But the other thing that Moyes has said is we'll find different ways of scoring goals or winning games. Nigel, I mean, I think I get what Tommy's saying, but I think we've got enough in this. If you look at the way we were scoring goals last season, the way we've started scoring goals this season, it looks like the goals are being shared. And I kind of suggested in a sort of a cheeky way the other day that maybe the days of a striker are almost over. You've got your false number 9s. I remember, I'm old enough to remember always having 2 strikers on the pitch, and then you went with a 3, and then now you've gone with a 1, and now people are playing with a false number 9. I mean, there are different ways of picking a team and scoring goals, Nigel, aren't there? Or do you agree with Tommy about the need to having had a direct backup for Antonio?
No, I don't agree with Tommy there. I mean, as regards different formats, still you're old enough to remember left halves, outside rights.
Yeah,
and
almost old enough.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm old enough.
So
yeah, but Nigel Still's a new fan, so he wouldn't have remembered who played for West Ham in those positions back then.
That's right. Yeah,
I don't remember who played for them last week, mate. So it makes no difference there.
So I mean, I don't buy into this. He needed to sign a centre forward because if you look at what he does, Antonio's not. He's a converted centre forward. He wasn't signed as a centre forward. Moyes, I think, feels that he brought in Vlasic, who could probably slot in up front, maybe, or he would play Bowen or Yarmolenko, or he feels he's covered going forward. I think since I saw a stat today that since Moyes joined the club the second time, we've scored 100 goals in the Premier League, and we're one of only 4 teams to do that. Where
were you watching my preview earlier on, Nigel?
No, I wasn't actually. Was that one of the stats on there?
Your favourite time? It was, yeah. It was,
So, so that says actually, and this is the thing, I couldn't get people that were disappointed with the transfer window because we didn't sign a scorer when we're scoring goals, and goals are coming from across the range of the forward line. So, Ben Rama's found his scoring boots. There's goals in us even without Antonio. So, plus there are, youth players there. Occo Flex or whatever his name is. And people like that, they're there at the club to be utilised. So, let's see what, I mean,
Yeah,
I think Yarmolenko, who've played
down
the centre, could do a really good turn.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind me saying, Nigel, like, it's all right converting people who aren't strikers and putting them up top and turning them in, but it's taken Antonio a while to get to where he is right now. When he went up top first, I mean, his finishing is really improved. I think his runs have improved. I think he's much more of a threat inside the box now than he was. So it's taken Antonio a while to get used to playing up top as a number 9. So short term, if you're going to do it long term with a player like Antonio, you can do it. You can put him up there and essentially let him relearn how to play the game in a sense. But in the short term, if you're just looking for someone while Antonio's out, I think converting someone, say perhaps from a midfield role and then putting them up top as the tip of that spear, they won't have the luxury or the time, and we won't have the time.
But that might be the way Moyes sees it playing. If you sign a centre forward, they're going to want a different type of service, possibly, to what we are.
That's the part I'm starting to kind of go down the route of. If you buy in a striker that doesn't play in a similar style to Antonio, then if you think of the strikers we've had in the past, Haller, Chicharito, it doesn't matter really. You can just name them all. They would not fit in the current system that West Ham play. They wouldn't fit in there at all, and therefore that's why West Ham have gone through so many strikers in recent years, because none of them have fitted the bill. And I can't think of other players off the top of my head that we could bring in that wouldn't have a potential, it's a total guessing game, but a negative impact on the team.
I think
so it could impact like Fornals, it could impact Bowen, it could impact Ben Rama.
It'll change the formation that we play.
It'll change the formation. And that's why when we saw the likes of Lingard come in at the time when he did, he fitted into the system. He wasn't an out-and-out striker, but against the likes of Aston Villa, we afforded to play without a striker because it was the false number 9 and they all switched and played,
I think the one thing I agree with you, Tommy, on is Moyes going out there trying to find a striker that plays like Antonio. I agree with that. I think, I mean, it's interesting because apparently we were interested in Tammy Abrahams, and I don't see him as anything like Antonio, but I think you're right. I think maybe he's got a mindset of the type of striker he wants. But what's been clever about Moyes, and I actually didn't think he had it in him, is when we've been without Antonio, even when he was injured 3 times last season, Antonio, some occasions a bit longer than others, but he found alternative ways to get the team playing. And I think that's the thing that I never thought Moyes had in him. I really didn't. I thought he was quite, his mindset in how he wanted a team set up and the type of players he wanted was pretty set in a particular way. But when he had to change things round, he did have replacements for Antonio. It's like Nigel said, he utilised his players differently. I see Bowen, to be honest with you. I mean, Nigel, you mentioned Yarmolenko. I see Bowen in the chat. Sorry about that. Some people have said in the chat that maybe that's why he's brought Vlasic in order to play in for Antonio when he's injured. I think we've got 2 or 3 options, and it's quite interesting when you look at the way the teams have been put forward for the Premier League and Europa League. He's put in a number of not strikers, he's put in a number of forwards, which includes Lanzini, Bowen, Yarmolenko. So in a way, he sort of mixed them in with Antonio, as if to suggest these are going to be my backups. So he is going to find different ways of playing, which is I think it's going to be quite interesting. I think I'm not as concerned because it's like you said, Nigel, we're scoring goals from all over the park, and if that continues, I mean, what we got so far, we got 10 goals in 3 games, which is not bad going, But I'd also get your point though, Tommy.
Yeah, how much of that is Antonio goals and assists? If he goes down, we could struggle.
But I suppose we could always go in roundabouts with this, but he did go down last season, and there were several games that we did play without a striker and performed well. But then there was also, on the flip side, there was other games that we just didn't turn up against teams, or we sat back and let the Liverpool game at home, for example, where I felt like that was a good opportunity for West Ham to take a game to Liverpool, especially at home. Okay, no fans were there, but we sat back and allowed Liverpool to play at West Ham. But I can't remember if that was that before the Aston Villa game or a couple of games after it, when just after Jesse had joined. I can't remember exactly what one that was, but for me, the biggest concern would be bringing someone in to try and fill the boots and trusting the process of what Moyes is doing and affording to cause problems that Moyes doesn't want to have. Pinpointing the point that Nigel said, 100 goals since David Moyes has been back, a stat that I don't think we have emulated in such a short space of time. I don't know, it'd be interesting to look at, but I can't think off the top of my head since Moyes has been back and over the last 5 or 6 seasons, if we've even remotely emulated that. The points tally we've received back, and still, we've done that by losing. The facts are there. We lost Antonio 3 times last season.
We did.
And coped. Okay, people will turn around and go, was that the difference of us getting Champions League football? That's a good argument to make, though.
Yeah. I suspect if Antonio had been fit all season, I think we would have finished higher.
But the irony, in a way, I kind of agree, because I still maintain that if we had let Haller go at the end of the season rather than halfway through the season, he might have got us enough goals to get us into the Champions League. But then we may not have seen Lingard come in. I still maintain that. He scored about 7 or 8 goals before he was sold. But
hold up, right? This is the thing. I love it when people go, and this is why I go stats. He scored 7 or 8 goals before he sold. Go and have a look who he scored against.
Oh, look, it doesn't matter who you score them against.
Well, it does if you're playing Macclesfield or Oxford United. I'm sorry, it does.
Well, I don't know. I think he would have been a good backup for Antonio, sort of going on Tommy's point, But then but we wouldn't have seen Lingard had Haller stayed. So there's swings and roundabouts. I mean, it sort of goes on to the squad itself. We've got Antonio aside. We've got a number of players who are kind of like in the. I've got another image up coming up in a minute, but we've got a number of players who are in their 30s. Antonio, one of them. These players, I mean, of the 5 that are there, you would argue that Winston Reid's time is probably finished at West Ham. And Randolph's as well. But does Creswell, Antonio and Dawson still have a future after this season? Or are they going to be replaced with younger players?
We do have more players that are in their 30s in that squad, by the way.
Oh, no, we do. And that's in this one. Player
Right.
contracts expiring.
You got to do it. You got to do it. You can't, just clear them all out. At the end of the day, Creswell is performing very, back to what it was like when he first came to West Ham. He's been with us 6-7 years now. Probably one of the better Allardyce signings, Creswell. Then Dawson's done okay as a backup, but you can't really see him in 3-4 years' time being with us. Push, you might get another 2 to 3 years out of Creswell. I think that's a possibility. Obviously, Randolph's going to make way anyway, but obviously Reed's time seems to have been up 3 years ago, didn't it? With West Ham. It's a bit of a strange thing. They gave him that 5-year contract and then he broke down and was out for a year, has been on loan. I don't get why, if he's at the club and if he is fit, because he's played in America and he was at Brentford last season, then, why are we not at least trying him out?
Has he been picked for the Premier League squad, Anton? That came out yesterday or today?
Something was actually said today, and I've not checked it up, but someone said that on some of the preview reports that the only player that is on the doctor's table or whatever they call it is Winston Reid. So, but I've not heard anything from the club. The club haven't said anything about it.
He's not injured.
So
I don't think he is.
Did he not play for New Zealand recently?
He did, yeah.
He didn't finish the last game that he played.
He got injured a few minutes into, I think, the second game, and I think he missed the game, and then he was back for the final game. Now, I don't know if he played for the whole game, but are his playing days over at West Ham?
Yeah.
I just don't see how he comes back into it. I don't think we'll ever see him in the West Ham shirt again.
And then those other players in their 30s, I mean, and Nigel, you just said, it's incremental. I mean, you're still going to see Dawson, Creswell and Antonio there for the next couple of years. So of those 5, and I know there are other players in their 30s, I'll get to them in a minute. But of those 5, you can see those other 3, Dawson, Creswell and Antonio, going for another season or 2.
Yeah, I mean,
they've got to, wouldn't they?
I don't know, people. When did this happen? Like, player turns 30, and all of a sudden, like, we're acting like they're pensioners. It's, especially centre backs. I mean, Jesus,
I don't think that's 31. The case. I think what it is that though.
Craig Dawson, 31.
You have to look. The problem you've got.
Centre backs can comfortably play
1 or 2,
34, 35.
But having 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I don't
be worried about.
They can. I wouldn't be
Premier
League.
Let's put it this way:
quality class game.
Yeah, I'd be less worried about centre backs than I would say Antonio. Antonio's output, is massive. I mean, the amount of running he does, the amount of fitness and stamina needed to do what he does and stay on the pitch for 90 minutes. His output is massive. The output from the likes of Dawson and Creswell won't be anything like Antonio's. So I think, and fitness and nutrition now is so good. I mean, if these were like, Italian defenders, nobody would be talking about, he's 31.
About their age.
There's no one in Italy is going, oh my God, he's 31 now. He's a centre back and he's a
no, but
left
they're
back,
looking at now. What you got to think of is when you look at that, you got to go. What's the team going to look like in 3 years' time? Now, generally, when you build a team that's successful, you want to be able to keep the core of that together for 4 or 5 years. If you look at the Man City and the better teams, they've had a core of players that came through when they were young and have grown together. The problem with us is we've created a team that's been our most successful team in the Premier League, and half the team are 30 or over. So what that says is in 3-4 years' time, we've got to regenerate the whole lot again.
Well, no, I mean,
you ain't gonna.
You can do it. You just do it incrementally. I mean, look, we're talking about Dawson. Zuma's going to be playing there very shortly.
Dawson, I said that Dawson's not going to think Creswell. Yeah, they're not the only ones, are they? We've got another lot to come. We've got another.
Yeah. You replace them incrementally. You don't have to wait
You ain't got
until
the
they're
money.
all.
West
You
Ham.
don't have to wait until they're all 34 and then say,
Well,
"Oh God,
let's
now we have to change them all out."
let's go to the other
You have to go
image
to the other one because
because
everyone in the chat's saying you keep forgetting Augie.
yeah, well, I'm not forgetting Oggy because Oggy's in this list. These are players whose contracts are expiring at the end of this season. Now, I haven't forgotten Ogbonaliam. Don't worry, mate. He's here. I know he's in his 30s. He's 34. But these are players whose contracts are expiring at the end of the season. Now, we already know Mark Noble, it's his last season. Yarmolenko's not likely to get a new contract. Neither are either of the keepers. But then you look at the three players on the bottom right, Fredericks, Ogbonna, and Johnson. Surprisingly, he's in his last year of his contract. Now, a lot of people don't rate. I mean, all right, let's do the obvious one first. Yarmolenko, is he staying? Is he going to prove this season that he's worth keeping, or will this be his last year?
For me personally, I think that if any player has a blinding season, then it would be silly for us to eat, no matter what they're being paid per month. It would be silly for us to think that there wouldn't be an option for them to stay. However, for me personally, it would have to take Yarmolenko to be overperforming, like very, very dramatic. Now he's come off a good Euros, and I said before the Euros happened that sometimes big competitions like that can regurgitate a player's career. And we haven't. It's only the start of the season, so we're going to have to see him play. He is going to play for West Ham quite a lot of games, probably, if you mix up the Europa League, the Premier League, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup. And we're going to start to see what Yarmolenko is really made of after coming back from that bad injury. We've never seen consistent game time for him. Now, on paper, most fans probably think, 115k a week? Is that what he's on?
Yeah.
It's a big amount of money. It's his last year of his contract. We're not got anything for him this summer. Probably no one's going to pay a fee for him in January. So we're probably looking like that we'll get to the end of his contract and either he'll just go on a free or we keep him and re-sign him on a new contract, but we're not going to pay 115k a week unless he goes and bags 25 goals this season. Really, that's where I'm at with him.
So
I think
No,
the
but
Yarmolenko
his wages.
situation's- sorry, go ahead, Nigel. Sorry.
No, his wages are born out of the fact that we signed him from Dortmund, who are a Champions League team. You remember, you got to remember, we can all sit here and go, "Why is he on 115 grand a week?" The reason he's on 115 grand a week was because he was our top, he was our big signing when we signed him, a Champions League player and playing at the top of the height of Bundesliga, the second best team in the Bundesliga.
I'll put my hands up though as well, Nigel, and say, and still, me and you had conversations about him. I mean, I really liked Yarmolenko. I was really quite excited about him, and I thought he would be a great player for West Ham. I think the injuries not helped him.
It's the injuries that have not helped him because as a quality player, you've seen what he's capable of in the Euros. I mean, if you remember, Anton, not last season before last, when he scored that cracking goal against Chelsea when we beat them 3-2, and we were off our chairs. And I didn't think he was that. I didn't think he could run that fast. Getting the ball from almost the halfway line, and not only having the speed to get to the 18-yard box, but to curl it. I mean, we've seen it now a few times, but to curl it in the way he did, he's a skillful player. But it's just unfortunate that.
He's an overhang of in a way the failed transfer policy that we had at the club prior to Moyes' second stint of. We bought these players that were 27, 28, 29. We paid big money for them. They were at the peak of their career, so we paid big money for them. And the problem with that is because they were at the peak of their career, they were only going to get worse. They weren't going to get better.
Yeah.
And you weren't going to get anything for them. So I can't see Yarmolenko being offered anything to stay, no matter what, to be honest.
No, he'll stay. I think this is pretty straightforward. Actually, I think Yarmolenko will see out this season. He'll get some game time, and his contract will run down, and he'll leave on a free at the end of the season. and I think I'll be amazed if anything. We're definitely not giving him another contract.
And what about the other three along the bottom then? So the jury's out on Fredericks. He's still in his sort of late 20s. He's 27, 28 years of age. Ogbonna, people have pointed out, absolutely right. He's 34 years of age. A lot of people seem to be suggesting that Zuma has come in to walk in place of Dawson. But there is, some talk that maybe Zuma is the heir to Ogbonna's throne.
Eventually, but not as fast as that, I don't think.
So do you think
just to address the three? I think Fredericks, same as Yarmolenko. I think he'll run out his contract and he'll leave on a free. He's not getting another one, I don't think. Ogbonna, I think, will get another contract.
Like a 1-year extension or something?
Yeah,
like
I think it'll be a 1-year extension. I think Ogbonna will retire at West Ham.
Good shout.
And again, I'm not overly concerned with Ogbonna's age. He's supremely fit. He really looks after himself. He's a spring chicken. He belies his age. And there's a lot to be said for talent and experience, and he has a hell of a lot of both. So I have no concerns about Ogbonna's age. I think he'll be absolutely fine this season, and I think he'll be absolutely fine again next season. And I think that would he'll probably retire then. And I'm fine with that because I still think he's a quality centre back. And obviously Ben Johnson then. I do think he'll be given another contract. I think Moyes has played him enough and included him in enough squads that he really sees something in Ben Johnson. Even if he's not completely sold on him yet. But I think Johnson is doing enough to get another contract.
So of those, what have we got there? 7 players. We're saying 2 will stay.
Well, I think Noble obviously is retiring, so we know he's gone. As I say, I think Yarmolenko, Fredericks will leave. Lucas, I don't know. I do think at some point in the near future that Areola will take the number 1 shirt from Fabianski. I think it's inevitable because I think Areola is absolutely top quality, and I do feel that while Fabianski is still a good goalkeeper for us, I think he is on the wane a bit. He's never replicated, 2 seasons ago. I mean, I thought he had a sensational season. Last season he was good. But didn't hit those heights, and I don't think he'll hit those heights this season. So whether Fabianski stays as a number 2 or moves on, I don't know. It could go either way. David Martin, I don't know whether they'll release him or keep him around as a training ground goalkeeper. He's being paid in vouchers or something. So I don't think
he got a Zagreb ticket if he's got vouchers.
Yeah, I don't think it. I'm certainly not going to get bent out of shape about whether David Martin stays around or not. He's not going to get any game time anyway, and we're paying him very little, so it doesn't really matter. So that's how I think those players will pan out.
Well, that brings us on to our new signings because, like you say, Nigel, it's always an incremental thing. It's it's an evolution, not a revolution. So we've got, between those 2 images that I put up, we've got something like about 5 or 6 players going at the end of this season, probably either because of their contracts expiring or retiring or their age or whatever it may be. And we've got 4 players there that are going to show what they're made of this season. So, in effect, Moyes has already planned, and we've already also got players, youth players, Armstrong, Oko Flex, Pierre Ekwa, Thierry Nevers, who is very, very highly rated, that we got from Reading. The future's being planned for already, isn't it?
Well, you got to hope these youngsters come through because what you got to remember is all the players that we've just said that are going to be leaving will generally all be leaving for free. So we'll be 5 players light and no extra money in the transfer kitty straight away. Those players, obviously, because of the squad that we've got, we all agree we're probably a couple of players light on the squad. So if you lose those 5 out of the squad, there's 5 that have got to be replaced. It's going to cost money.
To be honest, Nigel,
it's bit of a funny jigsaw puzzle that's got to be jigged about.
I think it's very doable. We're not talking about really key players here. I mean, how hard is it going to be to replace Fredericks? Really?
Well,
How
no,
hard would how hard
the
would
thing
it be? You can replace these
Well-
Yarmolenko. How hard will it be to replace Yarmolenko?
To-
Get someone in who can basically take his place on the bench.
To be
I wouldn't
fair,
be getting worried about it.
to be fair as well, I've been harping on for a long time about the West Ham youth prospects, and I know you've mentioned Okaflex and Ekwa, but to add players to the mix, the centre-half pairing of Alessi and Baptiste and Forson coming through the middle, like for me personally, for a long time, it's been a while since I've been so excited about our youth prospects. It might not be this season, but I think there are going to be players that will have to eventually and probably have the capability to make the step up. So I think we're going to be able to find a couple of diamonds within that setup. And also what Moyes is doing is looking at some of the best young talent around at other clubs that have been released, like the players you've just shown, Okaflex, who had problems at Celtic. However, he was signed by Celtic and Arsenal for being the top-notch player that he was. And we all know Moyes likes a player like that. Thierry Nevers, who comes with such an absolute great, prospect, future, all that sort of stuff. Pierre Ekwa, I mean, the man's a man mountain. I mean, he's only a kid, but he looks like he's humongous in the middle of the park. Like when I saw him up at the training park, I genuinely couldn't get my head round how big the lad was and really
how
good.
big his thighs were as well. Apparently,
yeah, exactly. But for me though, like the thing is, I do think there are going to be players within our younger setup that are close. Don't know if they're going to be right like there and then, but Moyes has stated for a long time that he wants to keep working on the academy and the youth, and I think that's what they've done.
And I mean, like, how good really would you have to be right now to replace Fredericks? Realistically, you could easily replace Fredericks with a really good prospect from the academy, and give him an opportunity to get used to the first team. You wouldn't have to play very much. Sofel obviously
it depends what you want looking to achieve, doesn't it? At the end of the day, because if this new dawn of West Ham is regular European football, you can't be replacing all those players with youth team players. You just can't. That ain't how it works.
No, you wouldn't have to replace all of them with youth team players.
But that takes me to the question about this young man. Do we end up selling him next summer in order to strengthen the squad? Because we are going to lose quite a number of, and I agree with you, Tommy, that a lot of them are squad players, but because we are going to have to fill a few holes, and you're absolutely right, Nigel, because we are going to keep wanting to aim for Europe, etc., or finishing as high as we can go. Does David Moyes or does the club itself bite the bullet and say now's the time for us to sell Declan?
No, but we have to be, as a club, we have to be able to manage like selling our best players. Like we're not the only club in the world that sells their best players. It's just how you invest that money is the difference. Leicester have that model already in place. They sell some of their best players, but they invest that money in the correct positions, get the right manager, training facilities, young players, the scouting system, and it seems to work for them. Manchester United had Cristiano Ronaldo with them, and then he went. So they managed, well, maybe they managed for a while when he left, until obviously big Sir Alex left. But, clubs have to learn to be able to sell their best players. It's not the end of the world. I don't want Declan Rice to leave the club. I think it's inevitable that he will at some point. And when he does, it's about if we get the largest fee we possibly can, I then put the trust in what Moyes is capable of doing, because so far he's showing me as a fan that he is capable of spending the money correctly, unlike previous managers. And we spoke about this, Nigel, plenty of times before. Rio Ferdinand leaves the club, and just named the players we brought in. It was just about bringing in quantity over quality. Rigobert Song, Fox, just to name a few.
Titi Kamara.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think obviously there's an inevitability to us losing Declan Rice at some point. But I don't think it'll be for the reason you said, Stel, or that it might be. I don't think Moyes will sell him for the sake of selling him, to say, right, we've got a huge valuable asset here. Let's sell him so I can, fill the squad up a bit. I think we'll try and Moyes would love to keep Rice long term. I have no doubt about that. But I think it will be out of our hands at some point.
Yeah, I think it's Declan Rice will leave when Declan Rice wants to leave, not when West Ham want him to leave. Because
what do you guys make of all these stories? I mean, there is a effing transfer rumor story about Declan every day of the week, and it's really. I thought we were going to at least get a bit of respite over it when the transfer window shut. But what happened the day after the transfer window shut? The first story I read was how Man United.
But what are you reading? What sites are you reading?
Oh, this is all. It's not only Claret and Hugh, mate.
But are you reading Football Insider? Are you reading? What you're reading is if they, these football websites that are free to read, generate their money by people clicking on it and the adverts, and they will write any old guff and garbage to get you, and you are so gullible still, you'll click on anything.
No,
right.
No. I'm not gullible. It's called research.
Well, you call it research.
As you know, when I do my show, hang on, Anton. When I do my show, I do say an awful lot of stuff tongue in cheek.
Well, anyway, but what it is that these places they're not bothered about the factuality of the story. They're just bothered that it's a story.
I totally agree, but the trouble is fans go nuts over it, and you see the comments on Facebook, and I'm sure it's as bad on Twitter, if not worse. And the thing that I made a comment on Claret and Booze, I think the other week, was some people will start turning on Declan because they think it will be Declan engineering a move. And people's mindset when they read something over and over again, if you tell a lie often enough, people start to believe the lie. And people started to, people have started doing it already. If Declan wants to leave, if Declan thinks he's too big for the club, etc., and it's clearly bullshit. I mean, you're absolutely right. He will leave at some stage.
I don't know about bullshit. I don't know. I always think there's no smoke without fire. The fact that Declan Rice has not signed the big paying contract says to me that they obviously want something that the club are going to struggle to think. We've seen it with Zuma now. I don't believe the stories that Zuma's coming in and has upset the apple cart as much as it has. But naturally, when a player comes in like Zuma and he's paid the money that he is rumoured to be about 110,000, that those that are only earning 20,000 are going to be looking at it and thinking, hold up a minute, I want some more money. So actually, by signing Zuma and putting him on 110 grand, it's not cost you 110 grand a week with Zuma. What it's cost you is 250 grand because you got to give price rises to all your better players that you've been paying low. But the problem is that if West Ham think they're a team capable of playing in Europe, you don't play in Europe with players on 20 grand a week that are happy to stay on 20 grand a week. That's what it has to be. Pay the money. You got to do it right. Don't just throw money at it. The stories we hear, Kufal's quite low paid. Well, of course he is. He comes out of the Czech league. Yeah?
And he was getting paid £5,000 a week when he was there.
So
it's all proportionate.
No, it unfortunately it is as well. And it's a known thing in football that unfortunately we've signed Zuma and he's come from Chelsea. And they're like, if Kufal had been playing at Chelsea and we signed him, he'd be on far more money. But he weren't.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's the way the cookie crumbles.
I think a lot of players are pragmatic as well. They understand everything you just said, Nigel. Look, they know Kurt Zouma is a big name. He's a French international, came from Chelsea. They understand that if we want to sign a player like that who improves the team, we've got to pay him a certain amount of money. I don't think there's going to be all this talk or this stupid report.
Their agents will be
unrest in the team and all this stuff. I don't think there's any unrest among the other players.
There's unrest with the agents, though. Well, you've got to remember, the agents are on their whack. So if Kufal's agent can get him a 50 grand a week pay rise,
gonna do it. Yeah.
Well, he'll have to do it somewhere else, frankly.
But we're doing the club is going through a transition period, though. We're transitioning from a club that's not had European football. We're now in the group stages of Europa League, where you've just put up all the signings we've just signed still, of which 3 are full-blown internationals. The rest of the squad, you can add Fornals, who's now playing Spanish.
Well, they're all
first
full-blown
team.
internationals, mate.
That's what, yeah. But I'm saying like Fornals, add Yarmolenko, add Declan Rice. The team is booming with international footballers. So we're, as Nigel said, the difference of paying someone 20 grand and then having the crop at the top, there would be 100% will be players there looking at that going, what's going on here? But that's down to the management team at West Ham to manage footballers' egos. That's something that we've not been able to do before. That's why the likes of Chicharito being paid what he was paid sitting on the bench, Chicharito must have been looking at the situation going, I don't think he was being a dick about it, but I think he was going, I'm Chicharito and I'm sitting on the bench at West Ham.
Yeah, I'm Chicharito. I played for Man United, Real Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen. I can't get a game for West Ham.
But I think, when it comes to wages, though, Anton, is that, what wages transition like players do. For example, Yarmo will be gone at the latest at the end of the season. That's 100 and whatever gone off the book. It frees up wages. Anderson was on big money. He went this summer. It frees up wages. So yeah, we'll have to give bigger contracts in at some stage to Rice if he stays. Souček will need more money. Fornals will need to be on more money. Whatever. But we'll also have players leaving at certain stages along the way too, who were on big money. And if the club is managed correctly, we'll be able to balance those things out. But
I think that's what But it comes from a place where we've never really been used to managing egos, and now that I think we've got the right man in charge who can manage those egos. We believe
he's got all the egos gone.
To be fair, how many prima donnas do you see in this West Ham team?
But that's because if you think about Moyes', talent spotting or whatever you want to call it, his transactions with players coming in, they've got to pass what we believe is this personality test. So he's looking at all these players and he's going, well, if you're going to come in here and cause unrest, I ain't going to bring you into this team. So I don't think for a second, like what Nigel said with regards to Zuma, that rumor that came out is fully factual in any way, because I think Moyes would have resolved that early doors.
I don't think it's caused any unrest whatsoever.
Yeah, agreed. So what will keep Declan? And can he become...
Nigel was going to say something there. Go on. What?
No, look, the fact that Zuma has come into the club and the wage that he's paid, then the better players that are on quite low wages because of where we recruited them from, their representatives will be knocking on the door and asking for a new contract with better pay.
That's parity contracts, or whatever you call it.
This is the thing, but it even not parity. I'm going to use an example like Kufal. So let's, for example, say it's $5,000 a week he was earning. He comes to us for 20 grand a week. He's well happy, isn't he? And then all of a sudden, though, he finds out he's one of the better players, the fans' favourite. But then he finds out that, 3 or 4 of the team are on 100 grand a week. Now he's 80 grand a week down. Now, when you're in a team competition, and this is the problem, when you're in a team sport, Declan can't do it without Kufal. Yeah, Zuma can't do it without Kufal. Kufal will be covering Zuma's ass when he makes a mistake. That's what will happen. It will happen, and vice versa. So therefore, he's going to be looking at it and go, is he 5 times the player I am? No, he's not. Right, well, pay me what I'm worth. Now, what West Ham may do is they'll look at it, his representatives, and go, I want the same money as Zuma. And we're going to go, hold up a minute. A year ago, he was earning $5,000 a week. Well, a year ago, Zuma was earning 80 grand a week. So there is a difference there, and they'll probably settle on a figure of around 70,000. Of course, hypothetically speaking, that is a figure I've totally made up and not been told. I don't
think Kufal is never getting anywhere near that money for us. Never.
I don't know. I think Nigel knows something that we don't.
70k a week for Kufal, no chance. I think they will. I think Kufal will sign a new contract. and it's not going to be anywhere near 70k a week.
I
Um,
was putting it around 45 grand a week with
Yeah,
bonuses.
40, 45, something like that. And he'll be happy with that, and we'll be fine with that. He's worth it. It's an
I
average
don't see you
Premier
say
League
that. He'll be fine with that. So he'll be earning 50%. So what that says is we value Zuma twice as much as Kufal.
Yes. Sorry, yes.
All right.
Deal with it. Like, he's going on 30 years old. He's almost 30. He's going to be 30 this season.
Tommy's partner's left.
Do you
Zuma's
know
a French.
something that we
Zuma's,
don't, Nigel?
Zuma's a French international. He's what age is he now? 23.
Kufal's
He's
a Czech international.
whoopie doo.
Well, you can't.
Do you know something that we don't, Nigel? Is that the big figure
Probably.
bandied around?
No,
Probably.
Probably.
it's that that is a
You've
number
been-
that I've just
you've been
pulled
reading-
out of the air.
You've been reading Claret and Hugh again, haven't
Mate,
you?
I've told you. What did I tell you? Yeah.
No, don't worry about Kufal.
We don't need.
Kufal's got his head screwed
No,
on.
I
He'll
know.
be all right. He'll
But
sign a new
that's just
contract.
one. There's a few others. At the end of the day.
Yeah, and they might
that
get
will-
improved contracts, but they're not going to be.
But the club have to pay it because if the club want to grow, because at the end of the day is we want to. And there you go. We want to grow.
Our
the club,
economy went
we
down the
wanna
shitter
be-
because we had too many Polish players. That's why.
All right, yeah. So the club want to be in the Europa League for the next 2 or 3 seasons, and then eventually be, I don't know. It seems quite fanciful. Where does the club want to go? Fans will go, we want to be playing Champions League football. I can't see why not. There's a lot of reasons why I believe that won't happen. They're always outside people or regular. It won't happen regularly. But then again, as I hate to say it, as Tottenham showed, not only did they do it, they got to the bloody final. So perhaps it is possible for West Ham to do it. I don't see it under this ownership though, and that's not knocking. It's not a thing of jumping out of GSB out or whatever. It's just that I don't think they've got the financial way about them. They're natural conservatives when it comes to finances. Probably right. So I just don't think that they can fund a club to get into the Champions League.
The only way you could do it, you don't have to have a really impactful season. You don't necessarily have to spend an absolute ball of money. It can be done if you're very, very smart with how you spend the money you do have. And as Anton alluded to earlier, when you do sell a huge asset like Declan Rice for big, big money, is to make sure that you reinvest that money very wisely in the squad.
The only thing I'll say is
Leicester
we
City,
keep
for
looking
example,
at
have
big
shown
money. Is that every year he stays with us, every year he's with us, he gets older, and he's getting better into the peak of his career. But the problem is that Man City have just paid 100 million for Grealish. Grealish is an attacking midfielder. Yeah, but he's an attacking midfielder. Have a look at defensive midfielders and look what they go for.
Yeah, a lot less, which is why a lot of clubs laugh at us.
Generally.
Yeah. But that's why a lot of fans from other clubs laugh at us when we say Declan's worth 100 million, because they'll go, Zuma is 50 million, or how much was Kante, or someone equivalent.
But if you talk about Kante though, I mean, you're going back to what, the 2016? No, but 2016. I mean, the Chelsea paid at that point £32 million allegedly for him. I mean, now you're 5 years ahead of that now, and football has.
But that wouldn't equate to 100 million now. I mean,
so that equates to 60 million.
It equates to 50, 60 million. Yeah.
Not in real money, not in terms of actual inflation. Economically, obviously, that money hasn't gone that crazy, but
but the football
but in the football world, it's not normal. Yeah, the football world is not normal, and it's completely separate to any other market you can imagine. At the end of the day, look, a player is worth what you're willing to pay for him.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So if
And-
you're willing to pay the money, go ahead. But you see, the thing is, let's say we did get the 100 million that we want for Declan Rice, and I've had this discussion with fans from Chelsea and Man United saying, "Oh, he's not worth the 100 million." And you have to remind people, listen, if you get him next end of this season, he's 23. He hasn't even reached his peak yet, and you're going to have him for about 10 years. So you're not paying 100 million for, just like a season. You're going to have 10 years potentially of brilliance from Declan Rice, and he still hasn't peaked. So I've said to people, look, if you were to buy him at the end of this season, 100 million, come back to me in 10 years' time and tell me that wasn't money well spent.
Oh yeah.
And I think they would all at that point say, yeah, okay, he's been brilliant for us for the last 10 years, and we've won trophies in part because of how good
And
he
you
is
can see a
in that
club.
role. And then you'll say, yeah, okay, he was worth the outlay.
Yeah, and you can see a club like wherever he may go to, signing him up on a 6 or 7 year contract.
Yes,
To make sure that they get every penny that's out of him.
Yeah, because actually that's how contracts work. Still, is basically like unless you're triggering a release clause and you have to pay the entire amount up front. Generally, how it works is clubs will only pay. Now they have to come to an agreement, but generally it'll be somewhere between 10 and 20% of the entire fee up front, and then the rest is paid incrementally over the length of the contract. So I would imagine a club like Man United would give Declan Rice, say, a 6-year contract. They might give us 15 or 20 million up front, and then the rest will be paid over the 6 years. So, it's not like they're just chucking 100 million quid on the table. And, major clubs like United can finance these kind of deals,
Well, sorry, people, that we haven't been putting up your comments or reading them out, but let's try and do one or two. Claret and Booze say, I firmly believe Declan wants out. He's costing himself millions in wages that he could be earning by refusing to sign a new contract because he wants, a paltry release clause. I mean, do you think that's a realistic thing that we're reading, that Declan won't sign a contract unless there's a release clause in it, or is that more sort of guff?
It's hard to know. It's hard to know. Look, I'm not an insider. I don't know what discussions Declan Rice has with the club. It's possible he wants a release clause, which is fine by me, as long as it's hefty. I mean, generally, you see, like in Spain, it's run of the mill. I mean, so many players in Spain get release clauses. But like I say, even if it was 70 million, I'd be okay, because, like I said, the difference with release clauses is that to trigger them, you have to pay the entire amount. In one chunk. There's none of this paying in increments over the length of their contract. It has to be all paid up top. And how many clubs realistically are likely to, say, lump 70 million quid on the table, like bang, we'll take Declan Rice at 70? That's why. Remember Ollie Watkins when he was at Brentford? I think his release clause was around 22 million, or maybe in 24. I think say 24 million. Villa signed him for what will cost Villa 31 or 32 million over the course of Watkins' contract with them, because they just didn't have 22 million to just chuck, or 24 million to chuck straight at Brentford, because they had other priorities. They needed other signings. They couldn't blow their wad just on Ollie Watkins. So they ended up paying 31 million over a much longer period. And that's likely what would happen with Declan Rice too, even if he did have, say, a 60 or 70 million release clause.
Well, in order for us to, the players that we looked at about maybe leaving, for whatever reasons, contractually or whatever, in order for us to replace those players, and we've already kind of agreed that, it isn't going to be just one or two, it could be 3 or 4 maybe, depending on how the youngsters do. Do you reckon, Nigel, that if West Ham do agree to put a release clause in Declan's contract, as Tommy's alluded to, it will be a hefty release clause that a club will have to cough up? in order to let him go.
I mean, West Ham got to protect the asset, haven't they? And that's how you protect there was the years of the way you used to protect an asset was have it on a long contract. Well, now because players can force their way out of clubs, the way you protect the asset is by having a release clause that benefits more the club than the player. Now, at the end of the day, I think Declan's still got 3 years left on his contract.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we want to be arsy about it, we could let him. And this is where it gets to a game of poker. In how long do you run the contract down, keeping the player before you think, oh, we need to sell him? But as Man United are going to find with Lingard, it's possible or probable that he'll leave for nothing because he would have run the contract down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Man United, Lingard, you could say Lingard at 29, that's perfectly feasible. For us to have Declan Rice stay with us for 3 years, then leave for nothing, will be a mistake. If he's going to go, you got to get the top dollar that you can for him. You got to maximize it. So you got to get the right time. And I think let's see next season. There's the World Cup coming up, as someone said.
Yeah, I was looking for that comment. Yeah,
it's possible it'd be worth trying to keep him to after the World Cup.
That's a really good shout because
you think you've got. You're talking about. I mean, everyone underestimates the fact that Declan Rice. He's so young. He's in such a prominent position, being one of the main starters for England. You know, he doesn't really owe anything to West Ham. He doesn't owe anything to anyone. He's in a job, and he gets paid a certain amount of money, and he looks at all his friends who are winning cup competitions. You know, and I know there's this going on about Mason Mount, but Mason Mount's just went and won the Champions League, and also in the same boat with regards to England. So we can't fault someone who is Declan Rice, his age, or anyone within that age group, looking at other clubs going, I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that. But giving them their due, staying at the club for this particular season is going to do him the world of good because he's going to see through the project that Moyes is saying.
Yep.
So that makes total sense. But if come the end of the summer, West Ham haven't progressed, I will certainly not sit there and go, fuck you, Declan Rice. You should stay with West Ham because
here's
WHU.
Absolutely. Here's WHU's comment. Unless we get Champions League by either by placement in the league or winning the Europa League, then there's a fair chance. If we get that, there's a fair chance Declan will stay. If we get Champions League next season, either through the Europa League or by position, will Declan stay another season?
Can I just quickly interject at this point as well? Because I need to leave, right? But before I go, I'm just going to make this point on that.
You don't have to. You're not a schoolmate. You don't have to hold your hand up.
I still think he could leave even if we get Champions League because the difference of him staying with West Ham, playing Champions League, and going to a club who could genuinely win the Champions League is a big, big difference still. So we could just be represented in the group stages. I do think there's an element where he might stay because we would have to get more investment. We'd have to give it a shot. However, if you're talking about another top club that comes in for him, that year after year sit at quarterfinals, semi-finals, or finals, again, can we really fault the guy for?
I genuinely think. Go on, Tommy. Go on.
Sorry, sir. Here's where I'm at with this. I think. If that were to happen, if we were to say go on and win the Europa League, qualify for Champions League, that would mean Declan would be happy to stay longer. But it wouldn't change the fact. Yeah, it means that if he were to be with us for another season, he'd be fine with it. He would be happy to do so.
Yeah,
I think that would not change the fact. That would not change the fact that we're a major club to come in with a serious bid. He would still want to go to that club.
I personally think that if we do get Champions League, it's a tall order, but if we do get Champions League, I think he'll relish the fact taking West Ham as captain into the Champions League. I think that will be something that will make him go, I fancy that, even if it's just for the one season. And I get what you're saying, Anton.
Not if a major club comes in for him with a serious bid.
I
He's going to want to go.
But he'll still only be 23 at the end of next
Doesn't
season.
matter.
I mean, it's what we forget is every 15 games he plays, he gets a £5,000 a week pay rise under the terms of his existing contract. So actually, the money still keeps going up the more he plays for us. So financially, I don't know. You know, the stories we hear is that he's a Surrey boy. He likes living down there. He's having an house built, or he's had an house built down there with his girlfriend, who's also from Surrey. You know, there's a tie to it. If you know, he's close to his family, all from that area. If there's a bit of me that thinks the only club I could see him leaving West Ham for is Chelsea. And Chelsea seem to not really want to buy him. So it's possible.
So
having said
that, if we make Champions League and Chelsea don't come in for him, because Tommy, you said, you know, if a big club comes in, you know, with a big offer, he could turn around and say, I don't want it, couldn't he? You know, he might hold out for a Chelsea.
Look, there's 4 clubs.
That's us basing it on.
Unlikely.
Qualify. That's us basing this on the fact that Chelsea would qualify for the Champions League. If they don't,
if they don't, and we do,
you never know.
Well, I mean,
you've been smoking something.
Who?
You in Marbella.
No, mate. Why?
Oh, right. I just that comment that we're like Chelsea. Just imagine if Chelsea didn't and we did.
There's nothing wrong with that, mate. It's very possible. No. Yeah. Very possible.
Lads, I'm going. Have fun. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Anton.
Enjoy.
Well, it takes me on to, you know, if he stayed. Now you're going to laugh at this, because I know a lot of people go, oh well, he could be the next Noble, you know, there for years, etc. I don't liken him to the next Noble. I liken him to this man, the next Billy Bonds. You know, there's a similarity. Both played in defence, both played in midfield. You know, could he become as big a legend as Billy Bonds did for West Ham United if he stayed at least another couple of seasons, took us into the Champions League?
No. I'm sorry.
No, he'd have to finish his career with West Ham.
He'd have to be, exactly, Nigel. He'd have to be a career man at West Ham to come close to Bonzo.
I mean, Noble, you know, you know, people, this is his final goodbye. And I remember doing this with Trevor Brooking, and it was a big wrench to see Trevor go as a kid, because I'd grown up watching him. And I don't know if it's because I was a kid then, and as a kid, you just idolise these people. I don't idolise footballers anymore. And I struggle with Noble, a legend. I get why people say it, because he's a West Ham boy from the area, grew up as a West Ham fan, spent all his life at the club, and gets to retire. The last player I can think of to do that was Steve Potts for West Ham. Yeah, and Steve Potts captained West Ham. Steve Potts was a local boy. All right, he was born in America, but actually he was brought up in Dagenham. So he did everything. Is Steve Potts a West Ham legend? Is Steve Potts thought of? No, he's. I would hazard a guess. No, he's not. Yeah. So Noble, for me, I've said it before, the way he dealt with Burnley, blotted his copybook a bit. You know, the man is going to go down in like an all-time like great. I don't know. It's hard to call an existing player a legend for a start. I think once he goes, I might feel differently.
Tommy?
Yeah, I get where Nigel's coming from there, actually. Look, I love Nobes for all the reasons Nigel just mentioned. You know, been here for all his career. Loves West Ham. You know, he is West Ham through and through. So he will always be very highly regarded by me, very well thought of by me. And yeah, when people say, you know, Matt Knowles, West Ham legend, I'm not going to argue with them. I know where they're coming from. But yeah, like Nigel, I don't know. At the moment, I find it very difficult to hold him in the same esteem as I do the likes of, you know, Trevor Brooking and Bonzo and Bobby Moore and, you know, real club legends like that. I again, like Nigel said, maybe I'll feel differently down the line after he retires, but I don't know. I just feel I don't know. For me, maybe it's harsh on Mark Noble, but for me, I just
Do you
never
think Di
felt
Canio's a legend? Do you think Di Canio's a legend? A
no,
club legend?
no,
No.
he's not for me. He's
Oh,
an
okay.
icon, maybe, maybe a bit of an icon, but he'll never be club legend for me. But then I'm I'm very hard to please when it comes to putting a legend label on somebody. I
Yeah,
don't.
no, I'm the same. But
But,
for me, Di Canio gets a legendary status for the joy and the ability that he brought to the club. Now, Di Canio only played 118 games, I think, or for West Ham. So Noble's gonna 500 possibly in total. So.
Yeah. I think for me, probably what holds me back a little bit with Noble is when I think about the likes of Brooking and Bonds and Moore. Is just they were just unbelievably good players. I think Mark Noble has been a good player for us, but it's just talent wise, I just don't think he's anywhere near
Yeah,
as
I mean,
good.
if I was going to be harsh, if someone said say something harsh about Noble, I'd say we only stayed at West Ham because nobody else wanted him.
Well, someone else said that, but didn't Stoke come in for him at one point?
Stoke.
How did he resist?
Oh dear.
No, but seriously though, did they not?
Seriously, fucking hell.
Did they not come in? Weren't they interested in signing Noble at one
Yeah.
point?
I bet he was gutted when we turned him down. Fucking hell.
Okay, so Noble, we kind of agreed is, a noble player, but not a legend. Will he be lifting a cup up alongside Declan at the end of this season, or throughout the season? Are we going to win? Are we going to win anything this season? Are we going to win a cup this season?
I doubt it.
Do you really doubt? Really? Do you? Do you think?
I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt it. I don't think Moyes is going to take the domestic cups particularly seriously because of, particularly if we progress in the Europa League. I think he'll take Europa League very seriously, and I think actually we'll do quite well in the Europa League. I think we'll get to the knockout stages, perhaps to a quarter, and fingers crossed, maybe we could possibly make a semi. But as a West Ham fan, it's just hard for me to picture us winning the Europa League.
I mean,
Cup runs. No, the domestic cups have just far too many painful seasons after season after season after season. We just get knocked out early enough.
Is it not changed? Is there not a tide of change? I've got that feeling. I must admit, I did have that feeling when Pellegrini started signing all these legends, and then I realised that was more like a pipe dream than anything else. But it's different now, isn't it? The whole atmosphere.
You've asked, are we going to win a trophy? But at the end of the day, people say, "Oh, we'll concentrate on the Europa League." I'm not saying you said that, sorry, but there are a lot of people going, "Oh, Joe Cole's come out and thinks West Ham have got a chance to win it." I don't know what the stats are, but when was the last time like a Virgin club in the Europa League won it in that season?
I don't know. That's a good question.
One that actually started in the first round and then get parachuted into the Champions League. When did it happen? So actually, for me, I would concentrate on and I think football's lost sight of it, especially clubs like West Ham. It's all about trophies. Funny enough, when you look at it, Mourinho would go out and Pep Guardiola try and win the League Cup because if you put that first trophy on the table, it sets something down for the season. You've put a trophy on the table. Now, if we concentrated all out for the League Cup, that is the most winnable trophy out of the four we're going to enter. And yet, I would hazard a guess.
I don't know.
We'll probably put out the poniest team we can against Man United.
Yeah, well, that's it. You see, I mean, at the same time, if you look at back at the winners of League Cup and FA Cup, not too many not too many teams outside the kind of big clubs really very often
because
go
they
and
don't
win.
take it seriously.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And
Because
don't
in the
forget,
early rounds,
Moyes was our manager last season too still. And, our domestic cups, we did nothing. So I
Do you
don't
think
expect
that's
any
more
different this
because?
season.
Do you think that's more because of I mean, I know he talked about he's happy playing with a smaller squad, etc., etc. But do you think now that we've added to that squad, okay, we've let a couple of players go, but players who a lot of people will say didn't really contribute to the season anyway. Do you reckon now with the additions that we've got, he might take one of these cup competitions just a little bit more seriously? And if
Yeah, and
so,
I think
which
I
one?
do, and I think it'll be the Europa League.
Europa League.
I
Yeah,
think our reserves, will give Man United's reserves a good game.
agreed. Yeah, so yeah, I think I don't. Just to answer the question, no, I don't think we'll win any trophies. As Nigel said, first season playing in Europe for a long, long time. And we're a very good side, and I do think we'll do well in the Europa League. I don't think we'll embarrass ourselves by any means. I think we'll have some wins. I think we'll get to the knockout stages. I think we'll make a quarterfinal, but it's going to be difficult after that.
But then that's where you start. If we got that far,
We'd have a
that
chance,
yeah,
no doubt. Yeah, we'd have a chance.
yeah. Nigel, are we going to win anything this season? The fans love it. I mean, we love winning a cup more. I think more than what position we finish in the league. No,
Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, the reason for that is the only thing we've ever won is cups.
oh yeah.
No, when you look at it, major trophies, we've won 3 FA Cups, 1 European Cup Winners' Cup. We've lost in 2 finals or 2 FA Cup finals. We've lost
League
2
Cup
or
final
3,
to Liverpool.
two, but we lost to West Brom as well, I believe, in the League Cup final in 64, 65. So at the end of the day, if they were determined to win, I mean, and this is the thing, Gold & Sullivan, Birmingham won a trophy after they left, but with the team that Gold & Sullivan's money had bought. Yeah, the League Cup. It is possible, but you got to want to do it, and you would have to play your best players in that tournament. Now, the fact is, up until the quarter-final, nobody really plays their best players. But the reason why the big boys now win the League Cup every year is because they've got a squad full of, Man United's reserve team apparently is like 260, 70 million pound.
Yeah.
So, of course, when they come up against the reserve teams of the West Broms, the Aston Villas and the West Hams, our reserve squad's going to be worth about 75 million pound.
Quid.
And at the end of the day, you do get what you pay for in the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's an interesting point, Nigel, because it is all about your approach. If you're really serious about it or not, because it just reminded me when you said that one of the things I hear from players that played under Alan Pardew in 2006, that he was always saying to them, "We are going for this. We want to win the FA Cup. We're really serious about this." And so when he put our first team out in those FA Cup games, and when they went out there, they understood that the manager expects them to take this seriously, that we are going for it. We're going to try and win the cup.
So do you not think,
and we got to a final because we had a good team.
Do you
we
not
took
think,
it very, very
therefore,
seriously?
Do you not think, therefore, that Moyes will believe that he's got near enough 2 teams now that he will think are strong enough to compete? Let's include some of the youngsters in this as well, but some very promising youngsters. Would he believe that he's got enough ammunition to be able to put what he believes? Because Nigel, I know you gypped about our reserve team will play give the reserve team, Man United reserve team, a good game, but there are a number of players that won't think they were in this game that will be played against Man U. The likes of Lanzini and the Yarmolenkos, etc., will say to themselves, "I'm not a reserve team player. I'm a first team player." So do you think Moyes might think in his own mind that he's got just about enough to put out strong teams in every
Don't
competition.
know what Moyes thinks about that, but it doesn't matter. I mean, he can put out these. It's a weakened team, whatever way you slice it. The players that are going to be coming in.
I guess that's the
Of course it
question
is.
I'm asking.
Oh,
The
of course
players
it is. Yeah.
players that are coming in are not as good as the players that are sitting. That are
Well,
not
we'll
playing.
find out. We've got
But
the
you are
ideal
gonna see-
situation coming up because we're going to play Man United on the Sunday or the Saturday, and we're going to play Man United on the Thursday. And
Well,
let's see how
gonna see
many
that even
changes. Yeah.
You're going to see that even sooner because you're going to see the team that he's going to put out tomorrow against
No,
Southampton.
but what I'm saying is,
and then
this
you've
is
got the
thing.
Europa League, and
But we're playing different teams. We're going to play Man United, yeah, in the league and in the cup in the space of 5 days. Let's see on both sides of the fence what teams are put out. And
so
then,
you don't think that he'll put out a similar team that will play in Europe against Man United in the cup?
No
You
chance.
think it will be completely different again?
I think
So he'll be going for the third team.
I think he'll go with a better team in the Europa League.
Yeah,
it'll be more of a mixture. Declan Rice will play Europa League.
Yeah,
Kufal will play Europa
Zagreb
League.
away,
Souček will play. You know, I'd imagine Antonio will play Europa League. You know, those players will not be playing in the League Cup against Man United.
He'll put the first. He'll go to Zagreb and play the first team.
Yeah.
Right. So then, what sort of players are you saying? He's going to put a bunch of young kids against Man United in the cup.
No, so Man United. I mean, Areola in goal. I think defensively is where we're weak in reserve. Yeah, but Dawson will play.
Dawson probably.
Yeah, Fredericks will play. Ben Johnson will play. They're not their squads. They're not first picks. They're not first 11.
Well, Dawson has been for the last year and a half.
Yeah, but now we've got Zuma. Yeah,
you see, I'm playing devil's advocate because.
All right, let me put it this way to you, Still. Tomorrow we're away at Southampton. Okay. Do you want Sofel, Ogbonna, Cresswell, and Zuma, or do you want Fredericks, Diop, Dawson, and Johnson?
Well, if I'm going to be really cheeky, I'd say you're absolutely right. The second lot don't sound as strong as the first lot, but I think they'll do a job. I think they'll do a job
of probably losing to Southampton.
So long as Masuaku's not back there as well, it'll be all right. No, I get your point, and I am playing devil's advocate. But there are players that in the four that you've mentioned, the latter four, that Fredericks will say he would believe that he's a first team player. All right, a lower league Premier League team might want to sort of take him on. But he will believe he's a first-team player. Dawson has been a first-team player for the last 18 months. Diop, I think, is an up-and-coming player. Much maligned, and I do still think he's got a lot to learn. But I think he's a decent player. I think Ben Johnson is one of our best younger players. So you look at it that way, you might argue, well, maybe that's not so bad.
Yeah, look, I take your point. I take your point. Look, I'm not saying the team that we're going to put out against Man United will be a terrible team. There'll be some useful players in there, that
still our reserve team though.
Yeah, but it's still far from it's going to be far from our strongest.
It might be, but you might find some of those players playing in Premier League games in order for the
but this is the thing that we've always wanted. The problem with West Ham is they've always had a good 11, but they've never had a good 15 or 16 or 17. What we've got now, which has only happened since actually when you look at the players that Moyes has signed in his first transfer window, or since he came back, going forward with the likes of Souček and Bowen, and then we moved on to last year's signings and then this year's signings, he signed people to improve the squad. This is the thing where I never understood it, where people were panicking, oh, we're so light, everything, this is rubbish. If we don't sign anyone, we're going to be people. You saw it still. We're going to go down. People were actually saying we're going to go down, and you're thinking, hold up, we've just had the best ever West Ham Premier League season. So therefore, that team's still good enough to finish mid-table, but we've not. We've improved it. So actually,
that's why I'm asking that. I guess that's why I'm pushing it because I think we're going to find this season that you're right, Tommy. As we progress in Europa, I think Moyes' mindset might be, let's push for that, let's push for that. But will that damage us in the Premier League? I don't know. I think because I think we will start seeing the likes of Lanzini and maybe Fredericks and maybe Yarmolenko, etc., playing a little bit more in the Premier League. I think, ironically, you might see them in Europa early on, and then as we progress, Moyes might change the mindset and go stronger team in Europe.
The thing is, he's got to finish. At the end of the day, he signed these players. The thing about building this squad is this is a squad that he's trying to build to constantly finish in the top 6. Well, he's got to do it. He's got to get that European football and not the silly Mickey Mouse Cup that they've just invented for Tottenham to be in Europe. I'm talking either Europa League and use that as a springboard to then try and build something. Because at the end of the day, Tottenham played Europa League football for 3-4 seasons before they even got into the Champions League. When he was at Everton, he was finishing 5th, 6th, 5th. He did then get 4th. Happened to be the same year Liverpool won the Champions League trophy. And I think he managed to finish top 4 twice, off the top of my head, with Everton.
His priority will still be the Premier League.
Yeah, the Premier League. It has to be. It's all about, and this is why when people went a bit mad at me when I said, actually, you could forsake the Europa League because the chances are we ain't going to win it. But the most important thing is to be in it next season, because you get to keep this squad together. If we finish 10th and we've not won a cup and we've got no European football, we've got a team now full of Europeans that, let's face it, we're playing European football. Yeah, all the Czechs played in Europa League or Champions League qualifiers. Vlasic, these people that we've brought in, they're going to want to keep playing European football.
Yeah,
we've got to give that to them. They've got to earn. They've got to use us to earn it. The way to do that is finishing top 6. That is the most important bit. West Ham's changing now. We're not. We shouldn't just settle for being mid-table. That this is now. You've had 5 years of mucking about. Now you've got to go and progress and take it on, because if not, then I suppose it is time. If they don't do it, it could be the end for them as their ownership. Yeah, and it will explode again.
And I didn't want to get onto this subject, but let's finish with it.
Pie.
Yeah.
Pie.
Well, not necessarily pie in the sky, but the ownership. I mean, we know the history, and I don't want to go into all the depth of it, etc. But I said a little while ago, there's an air of change, and it genuinely does feel like there's an air of change, and it's been very because we do have a manager that was much maligned. No one wanted him. He's come back and he's proved everybody wrong. We've had a really good transfer window. I think I heard today that in the past few years we've spent 250 million in the transfer window, in the last few transfer windows, which is not bad, for a club like West Ham. I know we've sold a lot as well. Well, we haven't sold a lot. We've given players away for almost next to nothing. But is there an air of change in the club from top to bottom? Moyes has got his scouting system coming in. Moyes now has complete control of players that he wants to bring into the club. Rob Newman's coming in. He clearly won't be badgered into getting a player in that he doesn't believe is right. Whereas in the past we've had Sullivan. We know he's often gifted a manager, a player going, there you go, here's so and so for you. Is there an air of change around the club? Does it feel
What's the
different
most
to you
important thing about a football club? What is the most important thing about the football club?
Well, you can pick any continuity.
For me,
what is the most important?
I'm a fan. Results.
Thank you, Tommy. The most important thing of a football club is the football. Actually, who owns the club? That's a sideshow. Yeah. And it is a sideshow. As much as I bang on about it and have done for years and years, everything, the stadium, everything, it's a sideshow. We support West Ham to watch football. And that's what it's about. So actually, when the football's going well, it can be pushed, and if it goes well continuously. Now that's the thing. We've had these odd brief glimpses. Can it be continue? Can they do it continuously? If they can continue, if this season can match last season's, then even more of those on the fringes will come round to actually I don't mind them now. Now we've got the march coming up again. I may go on the march, but I'm thinking if I go on the march, I'm going to make a banner that says Brady out. And I think because I still maintain she's the big problem.
Yeah.
To the behind the scenes. Actually, that if Golden Sullivan were there running the football club, but we had a better chief executive that was more in tune with fans and not business, and that's the way she does business, then I think the club is as long as they continue to progress in the way that they've gone, it's salvageable for them. We find out more about PAI every week. Even a highlight. I'm glad that they're holding off till the January transfer window now to make their bid, because obviously they come out and said we're not going to bid while the transfer window's on. Well, 2 weeks this goes now, and you've still not bid. Tony Cotty stopped doing his interviews, and we get investigative journalists now filing reports on websites telling us what crooks are on the fringes of PAI.
Yeah.
So it's not got a good look to it.
Yeah. We absolutely cannot allow Pi Capital to buy West Ham. They are absolute shysters. They really are. Absolute bunch of con men. That we can't let them near the club. And the article you're referring to, I read it, Nige. And if anyone wants to find it, if you go to my Twitter page, which is @Tomster36, and just look through my feed, I put up the article, I retweeted it so you can read it. The guy who's behind the scenes, the guy you haven't heard about, who's behind all of this, is just literally just a con man. He's a fraud. And he's been up to all sorts.
It
cannot be allowed to take over this club.
It could only happen to West Ham, couldn't it? Whereas other clubs find either rich billionaire Thai owners or Arab owners or whatever, we attract. It's like we always seem to attract the worst kind of possible takeover bidders.
Yeah,
I mean, it's does it only just happen to West Ham, or am I just dreaming this? It feels like it only happens.
No, I mean,
think the problem is
GSB sold Birmingham to
Newcastle.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you say that, and this is the thing, people go, look at GSB sold Birmingham to. Carson Young had tried to buy Birmingham for a year and a half, and what had happened is, in the end, he'd got money together and got a seat on the board. And in the end, whether it was due to fan pressure or whatever, they finally cracked. He raised the money, so they sold it to him. Now, bearing in mind, Carson Young had been on the board. I think if you look, he'd been there for a year already on the board of the club.
Right.
So it was a slow burning takeover when they sold it to him.
Therefore, can the same thing happen at West Ham? Can one of these people that are behind the pie bid manage to get on the board? Could they manage to get on the board?
The thing that Golden Sullivan have always said is,
I don't think Golden Sullivan like this crowd one bit, and I don't think that they have any intention of selling West Ham to Pi Capital. And I'm bloody glad if that's the case, because they can't do that.
Now I'm going to play devil's advocate again. Then does that make them good owners of this club?
No, it's better the devil you know. To be quite frank, look, I have a lot of issues with the way this club's been run. I have a lot of issues with
but I could shovel them on the door with Karen Brady, and this is the thing why I've long said
not all of it.
Brady, no, not all of
it. She's been the figurehead. I'll give you that. She's been the kind of more visible.
She runs the club day to day. So all the problems with the fans, all the look at the stadium move, what's thrown against them. Who said what, when, and where, and how
Well,
was
yeah,
it sold to the fans?
she's often been the mouthpiece, but you can't possibly
No,
think
mate, if
you
you
can't come on.
think
You can't possibly think Sullivan, Gold, and Brady weren't all in lockstep the whole way through that thing.
I tell you what I think. I think Brady is the one that was given control day to day. Brady day to day runs that football club. Yeah. David Gold, he was Mr. 442 Green Street. Mr. I was in the West Ham, wheel him out, keep the fans happy, walk through the car park, sign a few autographs, ha ha ha, chuckle, Uncle Albert. Yeah. That was David Gold. Sullivan, he wanted to play championship manager. Yeah. But for real. Yeah. So all he wanted to do was buy players, sell players.
Sorry, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Well, that's what happened.
The notion that David Gold is just some old geriatric who doesn't know what's going on, I don't buy for a second.
Still, do you want to tell him?
Sorry.
I think Nigel's. I'm afraid. He doesn't have a lot of say in the club. He is a little bit of a...
That doesn't mean he didn't happily go along and know exactly what was going on.
Oh no!
They all Sullivan, Gold, Brady, all
that.
of them lied through their teeth to get
Gold's
this move.
famous quote. Gold's famous quote. Yeah, about the move. When you listen to it, goes, "Well, I said that because that's what an architect told me." Yeah. And that's what he now says. And that's the thing is, the fact is, he didn't look into it. What happened is he sits down in a room and he says, the architect said, "Oh, this is what we're going to do." And he went, "Oh, brilliant." Yeah. But all you had to do was look at the plans and go, because that's what I did. I looked at the plans and went, "Well, that ain't fucking right, is it?" He believed it. He thought he was telling, he weren't lying. When you're told something and you repeat it, if it's not true, but you think it's the truth, you're not lying. Just you've been misled yourself, and this is the thing with Gold.
Was that the case when he told the vendors that he'd look after him?
Well, and this is the thing. Did he say he'd look after him, or did he say, "Well, we'll do our best and we'll look into it"? Never made promises. Never said he'd take him. David Gold never said.
That's right.
They were clever with the words.
They were hopeful promises. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah.
They turned around and said, "We will do our bit." It was all bullshit. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the contracts that Brady signed, it was Brady that got the £1 million bonus for signing that contract. Yeah, not David Gold, not David Sullivan. So that tells you all you need to know about who negotiated the move, who did what, who put the wheels in motion, who did everything. Everything stems down, filters down. Look at all the people running.
She was the general. She was their general. I don't doubt that.
She is the general. But she's the general in overall charge of the day-to-day running of the football club. David Sullivan is all he's bothered about is picking managers and buying players. The ticket pricing and anything, believe me, stand on me, this is how it works. He don't want to know because sometimes he gets told things and he's like, "Oh, that ain't right." And that's how sausages are made. Still. Am I right?
As we know.
None of that makes me feel any better whatsoever about.
No, it's not here to make you feel better, but it highlights why the fact I've long since championed Brady out rather than all three of them. Because actually, if they run the club properly and we had a proper chief executive that ran the club and with a better fan relation, for me, Brady looks on us with disdain.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I think that is what's fundamentally wrong. And I mean, we're hoping to have Hammers United on the channel next week. To talk about
Monday, Tuesday.
Well, you can't do Monday, can you? So I'm hoping it'll be Tuesday to talk about, and we're going to cover all this and maybe we'll get onto PAI. But from my understanding, even the fans who don't want GSB certainly don't want PAI. So I think you're right, Tommy. I think, if anything, but, what would stop the owners from going, "Fuck this. Why should I put up with the shit that we're getting? We're putting money into the club." Now, don't get me wrong. I've nailed my colours to the mast. I've said I'm neutral. I don't know anymore whether I like them enough for what they've been doing lately or dislike them enough for what they've done in the past. I really genuinely don't know. So I've said I'm neutral, and I've been, you know,
in this instance, I'm not worried because I think it's a bit personal now between
and hang on,
Sullivan
hang on.
and probably Brady as well and Pie Capital. I don't think they like the way Pie Capital have gone about this whole thing. I don't like the way Pie Capital have gone about this whole thing. I think it's been an absolute shambles. And I think they've almost taken every misstep you can possibly take with the way Pie Capital have handled this
But
whole
then
thing.
what's to
And I
stop
think
them?
they've really pissed off Golden Sullivan. And
Yeah.
I don't think they have any intention
But
of
with
selling
the
club to those
protests
people.
coming up and all that sort of stuff, what's to stop Golden Sullivan going in 2023 when we know that they won't have the tax liability on what they sell the club for? What's to stop them going, fuck this? I'm going to sell it to whoever's going to come up with the money, and
Right,
I'll walk away
one
from
thing
it.
about
and don't care.
2023 is
There's
it's
nothing
a
to stop
sliding
them.
scale. Yeah. So actually, I think it's gone down to something like 5% now.
Yeah, and it's
Oh,
not
really?
nearly as and it's not
This is
nearly as much money as people think it is.
Right. I thought 2023 was when the 20% disappears.
No. It slid
Okay.
down. So after 5 years, because remember, it was a 10-year thing. So after 5 years, it was less.
And it's only
and then, like, with
and
a
it's
couple of,
only
and then every year it dropped down.
and it's
so
not
actually,
on it's not on the full amount. It's only on anything over 400 million, is it, or something?
200
So
million.
200 million. So it's not even the entire amount. Like
Good,
of what the
good
club's
evening,
bought for.
Dyer.
It's not nearly as much money as people
As
think
people
it is.
think. Good evening, Dyer. I did
Mm.
put my thumbs up when you made the £5 donation. Very much appreciated, and I hope you're well. And no, I didn't get to see that singing superstar. I'm afraid we didn't get to see what he recommended to me. Going to see a singer out there, and I didn't get the chance to do that. But I hope you're well, Dyer. Okay, where do we want to end this? Okay, let's end this with, where's West Ham going to end this season? Are we going to make Europe again next season?
You know, I think we might. I actually am starting to really believe in this project.
So therefore,
really
I'm going to go back and ask you again: are we going to win any? You still don't think we're going to win anything this season?
No, I don't think we'll win a trophy, but I think we'll
Okay.
qualify for Europe again
Okay.
through the league.
Okay.
Yeah, I really believe in Moyes and the staff he's got around him, and I think we've got a very good team. Now, look, an injury crisis could hit, and it could put the kibosh on everything. But outside of terrible injuries or something, I think if we keep the squad more or less healthy for the season, then yeah, I think we'll have a very strong season again. I really do. The players look really up for it. We are a strong side. We are difficult to beat. I think Zuma coming in, and I think when Areola takes the shirt from Fabianski, which I think he'll do sooner rather than
I
later.
agree. Yeah.
I think that will strengthen us at the back. And obviously, if Antonio can play the vast majority of the games this season. Now, Antonio says he's doing some things that apparently
he's changed his diet. He's changed his diet, which is apparently helping his hammies.
It's going to help his hammies, but we'll see
how that works.
But yeah, if we have luck on the injury front, and I think I still think we'll finish top 6 again. I'll be honest, and I think Moyes will prioritise the Premier League over all else.
Nigel?
I always find it difficult after 3 games. I prefer to wait generally for about 10 games to see how it pan out. At the end of the day, we beat a very poor Newcastle side. We beat a Leicester team that we beat last season, and we drew against Palace that we drew against last season. So at the moment, we're 3 points more, because we lost to Newcastle away. So we're 3 points up on like for like already. But let's see that pans out, as once we've played about 10 games, we'd have had a mixture then of teams we expect to beat and teams we hope to beat.
Nigel, what's your gut?
My gut feeling is I'm sort of erring with you, actually. I think we've got every chance of finishing 5th or 6th again. And the weird thing is the football is changing. Where there was a nailed-on top 4, it's sort of, Arsenal's demise is fantastic to see, and it's a bit of a shock, really. So you know,
It's a-
Tottenham are blowing hot and cold, even though they're top, you know. But Tottenham, as I tell my Tottenham mates, well, you've just become the new Arsenal because you keep winning 1-0. You know, you're boring the life out of everyone. But you know, if that's what they want, we're possibly on the fringes of being the new entertainers. You know, we've scored 10 goals the same with Man City, but there's been more goals in our games than there is in theirs.
all we've got to do is shore up the back, the defence.
Well, goals are fun still.
yeah,
you know?
only when you're scoring them, mate. Only when you're scoring them,
Well, you know,
not when you're conceding them.
Yeah,
You know,
those Conor Gallagher goals didn't do much for me, Nigel. I'll be honest. So,
I actually get. They were second goal was good though. He turned Dawson, you know, on a sixpence. I'm afraid, but I think we're going to shore up the defence. I get why. I know we started off the show, Tommy. You know, you said you were disappointed because we didn't get a striker, but I get why Moyes focused on the defence more than he did on the attack.
I do
Because once we start shoring up the defence, and if we continue to score the number of goals we will score, I'm going for a fifth place finish, and I'm going for a cup. We're going to win a fucking cup. We're going to win a cup.
If
I
we
don't
do,
know
it'll
which
be
one.
Europa
I don't know
League.
which one, but I'm going for fifth place and a cup. There you go. Confident. Now I'll be effing and blinding if we lose to Southampton tomorrow. So let's finish off with that. Score tomorrow, Tommy, against tomorrow. Score today against Southampton.
Yeah, I think we'll keep our first clean sheet. And I think it'll be a relatively comfortable day. I think we're gonna beat them 2-0. I think we're gonna be able to keep them out. I don't think they're gonna score against us. So and we will score because that's what we do
I
now.
agree.
So I think 2-0.
Nigel, I'll be seeing you in about 8 hours time.
Yeah, 3-1. That's what I think we'll win.
Yeah, there's a couple of people that saying 3-1. I'm going for 3-0. I think we'll win 3-0. Yeah, I can't remember what I said on the show the other week.
They've got Walcott and Armstrong out, haven't they?
Yeah. Chaps, it's been a pleasure. I've got to get to bed because I've got to catch a 9 o'clock train in the morning to get to Waterloo, and the trains my underground ain't running, so I don't know how I'm going to get there. But thank you very much. It's been an interesting chat. Much appreciated. Hope you can come on again soon.
Yeah, anytime. Been a pleasure. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you all. Now, look,
as well.
I've got to apologise to everyone. You know, we do normally read the comments out, etc. But given that it's 1:10 in the morning,
and I can't even see them,
and you can't even see them. Well, your glasses are there, mate. They're up there.
No, yeah, but it's blank on the right. To be fair, so I'm only seeing the ones you're putting up. I cannot see what it says at all. There's no chat working here.
Oh right, I didn't know that you guys can't see the chat.
No.
Normally I can, but today I can't.
Oh, that's odd. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, with the greatest of respect, we do normally go through the comments, but we're not going to go through them tonight because it's 1:10. I got a gap early. I got to meet Nigel as well, and he's going to buy me a beer, I believe. So there you go. Have a good night, everyone, and see you soon.